Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 3000, 3940 51. I'm not really sure exact number. Today's date is March 19, 2025. 26. Sorry, I just March 19, 2026. It's been almost like a morning at 8:15 a.m. All right. Let's just jump into the question. Let's go. All right. Okay, so question is, what simple environment change could make good habit more obvious and easier to perform? Okay, that's a really good question. Okay, first of all, what exactly is this question and why am I asking this question to myself? Couple of days ago, I read a book, Atomic Habit by James Clear. It was a really amazing book. Okay, highly recommend to you to read this book. Then basically this thing I wanted to implement the value that book taught me. How do I supposed to do that? By asking question to myself and giving the honest answer. So I need a kind of like a question. So I went to ChatGPT, kind of like I say, I read this book, I wanted to implement the value, suggest me 20 question, and this is one of those question. Okay, so the question is that how do I supposed to make my environment as good as possible, so that like a good habit, like a, what kind of like a simple environment change could make the good habit more obvious and easier to perform. Okay, so how do I supposed to kind of like make my good habit are easier to perform? First of all, do I have a good habit? Okay, I wake up every single day morning, like 7 a.m, 6:30 a.m. Okay, yeah, is it good habit? Yeah. What kind of like some stuff that I'm doing to kind of like make this environment is kind of like something very easy for me to execute this good habit? uh, like waking up early is a good habit, yeah. Am I doing any kind of like effort to wake up in the early morning? No. Why not? Like basically this, you know, when I wake up I already have pressure. Okay, so usually I wake up so that I would supposed to be go to the bathroom and do my stuff. So when I do that, it just automatically wake up. Yeah. So it doesn't really require me to put any kind of like a external effort to wake up early as possible. But still, okay, environment is very much essential. Like basically this thing right now I live in my home, and that's why this entire process kind of like a feel like very smooth and simple and very easy. But if I went to somewhere or I change the environment, it might affect. Yeah, because our mind is a kind of like a act according to the environment. Like basically this thing that na, I realize that ki, if I went to somewhere, okay, yeah, then I am not like a, like I cannot, like I don't want to go to the number two, or I my don't number two is just shut down like a I don't know, it's just like that ki, like I don't know, I cannot exhaust like basically this thing, I am bitterly comfortable with my own bathroom, but if I went somewhere and kind of like see that ki, okay, I have to go to the another bathroom, then my mind is just like that, no, I don't want to go, it's just like that. So yes, like a comfortable place kind of like a somebody enhance your good habit even more. But if you went to kind of like a somebody very new place, then your body is a kind of like a somebody take times to adjust and things and that. Okay, I experienced that thing. But still I am not kind of like a traveling or going anywhere at all. I am kind of like a staying at home, so basically everything is good. Okay, next good habit. I read book yeah, like basically I am reading a book. Okay, so is my really good habit. So what kind of like assembly environment will I able to be changed to kind of like make this habit is good, or kind of like a perform very much easier? Well, basically it's this thing na ki I usually prefer to read book like if I have a table, and then I would kind of like sit my book right here, and I could kind of like it's bit more comfortable to read the book instead of kind of like somebody just kind of like staying there and kind of like somebody just reading like that. It's not really comfortable. I need a table. Okay, yeah. Do I have a table? Yes, I have a table. But also another thing is that na ki when I read a book, I need such an environment where I need a table, as well as I need a kind of like a light, so much amount of light. Okay, yeah. And usually that amount of light I get on the rooftop. Okay, because in the rooftop I get this kind of like a sunlight and things, and that I might not get the table, but it's good because light is very much essential. Okay, I need a kind of like a sun and things and that. If I have a window it would be really good, but probably I need a light and table. If I have this thing, reading would be kind of like a much more easier to perform. But at this moment I don't have a table. Like I have a table, but it was at downstairs, and probably light, there is a very less amount of light over there, so probably it's not really good. Okay, yeah, but still I'm pretty much manageable right now. I don't really have a table, but I have this stool. I'm sitting on that stool, and it's good enough to I could kind of like I'm supposed to be sit and read my book. Is it comfortable? No, it's not really comfortable, but it's okay. Yeah, it's not really that bad, but yeah, it's okay. um do I want to change this environment? Well, yeah, but the problem is that na ki my mother don't really like to read book like in early like basically this thing na ki if she's kind of like sees me that I'm kind of like reading my book early in the morning, she didn't really like it. No, not because of that she's against the reading and things and that she's kind of like somebody say this thing that ki you are 32, you are living with your parents, and you are kind of like really not doing your job and kind of like reading a book and things and that. So I don't want to get that lecture again and again every single day. So that's why I just kind of like read a book kind of like alone and things and that so that okay, yeah, a rooftop would be kind of like my really very comfortable place that I would supposed to be kind of like sit here, read my book, record my artifact and things and that. In the future I will have a table with lot more sunlight and things and that. But yeah, but also another thing is that na ki it's like a March. Okay, the weather is kind of like a very much pleasing. Okay, yeah, after 2 months it would be summer. Oh my god, in India, the where I live, the summer are so extreme, so brutal. It cross 40-degree. Oh my god, literally at 8 a.m you just kind of like a boiling hot. So obviously is this thing, even if I'm kind of like sitting at the shadow, it would be kind of like a really good, but still like a April, May, June, these are kind of like some months where very brutal and very much kind of like a very heavy sunlight. So I might not read over here, and also the rooftop is not really good for like a rain. Okay, rain is always be there, but still is this thing now, it's not really that key like I cannot able to be read a book. Environment is always been a problem, but still is this thing that key right now I don't really have any solution for that. Okay, yeah, the only place that I could read is that key on the rooftop or my room. Okay, yeah, now my room is at the downstairs, and probably I don't really get that much amount of light over there. I get the light, it's not really that I don't really get the light, but like on the rooftop you will get the light from everywhere and things and that. Light is very much essential. When I read the book I need more and more lights and things and that. It kind of like somebody push myself to read more. Having less light, it kind of like a very difficult for me to see the things and that. It's not really I'm kind of like somebody taking any excuses and things and that, but still is this thing that key rooftop is kind of like a bit more comfortable at the moment, so that I think that it would be manageable. But in the future I will kind of like make sure that I will have a kind of like somebody like room for read probably. Okay, yeah, I don't know, but I will make sure that I will continue my reading okay, being consistent and things, and that is the only mantra that I decided. So yeah. Next good habit, artifact. Okay, yeah. uh, I am kind of like a recording artifact from last 13 year, sorry, 11 year, not 13 year, 11 year. It's a kind of like a self-reflection process, like the you are kind of like a listening this thing right now. I'm kind of like a talking about stuff is actually happened, things, how do I supposed to improve my life and stuff like that. It's a self-reflection process. It's a really good habit. Okay, yeah. And how do I supposed to make this good habit is as good as possible, like what kind of like a environment would be kind of like a really much more better to record artifact. Well, in this particular context, basically it's this thing that na ki video artifact episode is a very much difficult to record artifact. It's not really that difficult right now. I'm bit really comfortable right now, but video artifact episode takes a lot of stuff. First of all, light, place. Okay, another thing is that privacy. Okay, right now I'm kind of like sitting at the rooftop. No one is kind of like bothering me, and no one kind of like bothering me at all. So basically, it's kind of like a very much comfortable place to record artifact. But obviously, I don't really get that place every single time. Okay, yeah. So again, video artifact is also again little bit discomfort. Why discomfort? Because you are seeing yourself. Okay, yeah, and that is little bit thing. Audio artifact episode is a far more convenient. Okay, because you don't really have to see anything at all. You don't really require any kind of like a place and things like that. Even if you get the corner, you kind of like somebody just sit there and kind of like a talk and things like that. Audio artifact episode is a far more easier to execute than video artifact episode. But still, I realize that ki video artifact episode is also really essential, at least for me, so that I would supposed to be like a basically this thing. When I see the artifact, it would be kind of like a even more like a compelling means what, like a basically this thing. When you watch a kind of like a video and audio, so video and audio are both are kind of like responsible for watching your video. If just a video, then there is no audio video, there is just audio, then video is not actually exist. Then who do we supposed to be see? And if there is a video, there is no audio, then who do we supposed to be listen? Both are really essential. Visual and listen are very much essential to execute any kind of like a form of video. By the way, it's not a video, it's an artifact. It's really essential that I should supposed to be express my thoughts, not just kind of like a share the video to the rest of the people and things and that whatever. But I think that na ki audio artifact episode is bit more comfortable, but still I prefer to be record video artifact episode. Like in the morning, I am kind of like a recording video artifact episode. I usually record artifact episode twice. During the day, means during the morning I record artifact, and during the night I record audio artifact episode. Audio artifact episode is bit more convenient, but that is okay. Yeah, it's not really that, it's really comfortable. Video artifact episode is also good. It's not really that bad, but still. Do I want to kind of like simply make the environment as much as better to kind of like make this good habit as good as possible? Privacy is very much essential to record artifact. Like basically I always think that I shouldn't supposed to be kind of like feel like someone kind of like seeing me or someone kind of like listening me while recording artifact. That is the utmost essential thing. And obviously I get this rooftop. Okay, no one is actually here and things and that, so probably it is kind of like a really good. So yeah, like this habit is kind of like easily executed, and the environment is kind of like a really good. Okay, another good habit. Another good habit is playing my brain games application. Okay, Duolingo, Elevate, Lumosity, Brilliant. These are the 4 applications. These are actually available on the Play Store and Apple App Store. I highly recommend to you to play those games. Okay, these are kind of like a mind training game. Okay, like basically they have kind of like a puzzle, visual elements and things and that. I spent almost like a 5 minutes on each application. It would take almost like a maybe like half an hour to spend this 4 application, and it would be really good. I enhance my brain capacity probably. Okay, yeah. Which would be really good. It's a kind of like a small puzzle that I could solve, and it's really good. Like basically in the Duolingo, I cannot able to be like I cannot a particular person who could play the chess, but because of the Duolingo, I could able to be play chess. Okay, yeah. Then a lot of like a brilliant is a kind of like a application is about the mathematics, everything. There are a lot of things, lot of puzzle. I don't really spend that much amount of time, but spending almost like a 5-10 minute on that application, it would be kind of like a really good to make my streak as long as possible. Okay, yeah. In Duolingo, I have almost like a 235 days of streak. In a Elevate have a 34, Brilliant has a 30, and Lumosity is also almost like a 30. Okay, yeah. These are application I started at the early beginning, but I kind of like simply do it too much, so that's why I don't know. So in this particular good habit, the environment factor, like do you want that environment should supposed to be as good as possible? Well, no, not really. It's a phone application. There is just a phone. You just have to open the phone and kind of like do your thing. It doesn't really require any kind of like some environmental things and that and that. But still, is this thing that I prefer to have a kind of like a somebody that table. Okay, table would be really good. So if I have a table, then I should be supposed to be hold my phone and things and that and that. But still, it's far more convenient that I have this application, which is good. Yeah. Another good habit, content creation. Oh, content creation is a kind of like a thing that I'm doing for last 5 years. By the way, it's kind of like my job. I'm kind of like being a YouTuber or things and that. So probably it's not my good habit. It's a kind of like my work. Okay, yeah. So like even if I have a kind of like a good environment to have this work or not, I just have to perform my work. There is no kind of like assembly option and things and that. So I will not going to talk about the content creation that much. Okay, yeah. But for the environment, I have my own room. Okay, yeah, which is kind of like a really good, and I get a kind of like a laptop and the monitor, and I kind of like do my work. So probably it is kind of like a bit more comfortable place to record my content, which is yeah good. Then another good habit, running. Yeah, I do run every single day. I am running for last 5 years. Okay, and it's my good habit. What kind of like a simply better way to make that environment better to execute this good habit? Well, I do run at the stadium. Okay, and it is really good to have a kind of like a something. Usually, the if the stadium is actually full of people, then it's kind of like a very convenient to record. It's very convenient to run 30 minutes non-stop. But right now the stadium has a kind of like a renovation actually happening. So like almost like a year that stadium is kind of like a shutdown. Like there is a lot of manufacturing actually happen over there. So I usually run at the road. Okay, yeah. Which is not really good. Why? Because of that there is no people. Like most of the time I just kind of like a running alone at the empty road, and it is kind of like a little bit kind of like a somebody that yeah, it's not really that kind of like really good kind of like assembly environment to run. Why? Because it's just empty dark road. Because I usually run at evening, like almost like a 6:37 p.m, and usually entire thing is actually dark and things like that. And on that street is completely kind of like a simply dark. Okay, yeah, there is only one street light, and rest of the street is completely dark and things like that. uh, it's not really convenient to run on that street, because it just like it kind of like a feel like shady and things and that. But still I'm okay. Okay, yeah, like I don't really have any kind of like a choice. What do I supposed to do? Kind of like go to the gym. Like it cost me a lot. Like I don't have kind of like a gym membership, or I do not pay. I do not afford to pay gym membership and things and that. So I just like yeah, like whatever I have, just okay. One thing is that I kind of like listen the music. Okay, yeah. While listening the music and running, it's kind of like a even more like it kind of like add a little bit of convenient, because you are kind of like be more focused on kind of like only listening music. Reading is just like sorry, running is kind of like happening automatically. Okay, yeah, because I'm running for last 5 years, so right now it became autopilot. Okay, yeah. Another good habit is that another good habit that content consumption. Okay, yeah. Is this thing that I usually kind of like when I do my work, I kind of like somebody watch my video means like that watch kind of like a YouTube video. Okay, yeah. I make sure that whatever the content should I supposed to be watch should supposed to be kind of like a add much more productive and things and that. So for that particular purpose, I kind of like watch a lot of YouTube videos. I kind of like try to avoid Netflix or Amazon Prime. Why? Because the amount of information that I get from YouTube is very much as compared to the amount of information that I get from OTT is very less. OTT is for the entertainment purpose, and like at the moment, at this time, entertainment is not the kind of like stuff that I'm seeking. But still, is this thing na ki when I kind of like suddenly realize that ki, okay, I need this, watch the web series and things and that, so I watch. Also, let me tell you one thing. Every content consumption, like every content that I consume, I didn't like kind of like somebody that ki I would kind of like somebody like basically what is actually happened na ki when I watch any piece of content while doing my work. Okay, yeah, like basically my content creation is a kind of like a things that ki most of the time I was kind of like somebody that ki like a create poster and things like that. Okay, yeah, poster designing and things and that. Right now I'm using AI. So in the AI, I kind of like set up the project in the ChatGPT custom GPT project. Okay, yeah, which kind of like a very easy for me to kind of like somebody is saying whatever the idea that I have, I just kind of like click the mic and kind of like tell everything. Okay, yeah, then it kind of like automatically understand the image and understand the kind of like a message of the image and things and that. Then it kind of like generate the prompt for me. I copy that prompt, put it into Gemini, create the image and things and that. It's the work is really it doesn't really require me that much amount of focus and things and that. Why? Is because of that I'm doing this thing for almost like a 5 year. So it's kind of like a very much easy for me to do this thing. I don't really have to put that much amount of effort to create the content. So simultaneously I was kind of like simply watch my content to watch the YouTube videos and things and that. Also is this thing, the most of people kind of like a think that ki, why are you kind of like doing both the thing at the same time? No, I'm not doing both the thing at the same time. I'm kind of like somebody that thing is actually complement my work. Like basically is this thing now, while doing running I listen the music. So listening music is a kind of like a complement my running. It kind of like enhance me more to run. Same thing happened with my work. Like basically when I kind of like do my work, I kind of like watch the kind of like a podcast or any kind of like somebody the book summary or things and that. I listen that thing and I kind of like somebody get the information as well as I kind of like do my work. It's not really that I'm kind of like somebody that key I will kind of like somebody just sitting on the computer and kind of like watching video. No, it's not really happened. I just kind of like doing my work and simultaneously I watch my kind of like videos and things and that. If my work kind of like really required my focus, I would pause the video and kind of like focus on that and things and that. Okay. So for this particular good habit, what kind of like a environment is actually affect? How do I supposed to make my environment as good as possible? For this particular thing, I don't really require any kind of like environment. I just need a headphone and that's it probably. Okay, everything happened kind of like I just have a mobile phone. I just kind of like put the mobile phone on the this is the monitor and I kind of like put here and just things. So yeah, sometimes environment is kind of like a very much impactful on your good habit. Okay, obviously this thing having a really good environment is kind of like a really essential to execute your good habit even more better. Okay, yeah. But still is this thing now, it's up to you. Okay, yeah, it's kind of like some drive from you that key like do you really want it to like basically is this thing that ask this question to yourself: why do you want to read the book? Why do you want to run? Why do you kind of like record the artifact? Like everything is kind of like a really required a reason, and obviously you have that reason. Find that reason. When you have that reason, then environment factor is not, doesn't really affect. It's a kind of like an add-on, like having a good environment to kind of like execute your good habit. It's a add-on thing. Okay, yeah. If you found the reason, then it just kind of like a very much easy to execute and things like that. So yeah. So if you wanted to kind of like execute any kind of like a piece of good habit, find that reason. Reason is really good. Like basically is this thing, why do I want to read a book? It's because of that I kind of like a particular person that I never really read a book and I understand the value of reading a book and I realized that I wanted to learn more. That's why I'm actually asking this question about this book and things and that. and I understand more regarding about myself, it does implement in my life. Okay, yeah. Why I'm kind of like a recording artifact, because it kind of like allow me to self reflection, it allows me to explain myself much more better and things and that and that. Okay, yeah. Why I do run is because of that ki I wanted to live for 100 year. Yes, this is the kind of like a thing. I want to live for 100 year, and like not for like usually most of people kind of like a thing that ki you should supposed to look good and things and that. Yeah, that's the add on, but my real reason for run is that ki I should supposed to be live for 100 year. Okay, yeah. And if I wanted to live for 100 year, I have to be kind of like a start doing from today, like at least like a running and things and that. When I have kind of like a some sort of amount of money and things, I would kind of like a focus on diet and things. Right now I'm not really focus on diet because I can't really afford to spend money on diet because I don't really have any money. But in the future I will kind of like a simply focus on diet too, my exercise too, my gym membership too, and things and that. So having that kind of like simply reason would be kind of like a really good to execute your good habit to the longer period of time. Also consistent is really essential. I make sure that whatever the good habit that you have, try not to do too much, make sure that too less. Like if you wanted to read the book, do not read the book in one go. No, read just a 1 or 2 pages and had enough, that's it. Just be consistent, that's the only thing. Environment is really good thing, but sometime na you really require a reason to do it, and that's a very essential thing. All right, so this is it, and thank you.